It's great. This is where my brain is. I'm chugging away. Whirr. Hi. Welcome back to Librophiliac Knits. I'm your host, Kat. I'm coming to you from St. Paul, Minnesota, and it is a weekend, the first weekend in February, and I live here with two of my three children and my two cats and two dogs. My oldest child has moved out. That's why he's not living with us. It's nothing bad. He's just being an adult, which we're super excited about. So what's going on? I have been having an interesting year so far. I hope yours has been going well. We just hopefully finished up a cold snap, so I've been doing a lot of staying indoors. I wanted to talk to you today about what I've been making and what I've been working on as sort of a 2023 project, and just go over, what I've been making, what I finished, such as my sweater. We'll get into that in a second. And I did have a couple of acquisitions. Some of them are left over from the end of the year, and then that should be about it. Maybe a little chit chat. Nothing too strenuous. So let's get started. My sweater that I'm wearing today is the Weekender. Oh hi, it's all hair, nothing but hair. I'm gonna stand up over on the side here so you can kind of get the full body effect. So this is my Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry. I knit it out of Knitpicks Simply Wool. I ordered one of each color because I wanted to try it out, and that got me through the whole body of the sweater. I had originally thought that I would end the shoulders with a cashmere blend, so it would be super soft at the top, but the fabric of the cashmere was totally different on the same needles, even on thinner needles, and it just didn't look right. So, and it wasn't fitting properly, so I just ripped it back, and then bound off for the shoulders. Went to pick up the sleeves because it is a bottom up and then pick up sleeves sort of situation, and the sleeves were so tight. There was no way I was going to wear it. I mean, like, that's a fun style, but especially with this wool, which has a little bit of scratch to it, I just didn't feel like I would wear it if the body of the sweater was super loose and the arms were like sausage casings. This is Lolita's tail. She's come for a visit. And so I put the sweater on timeout all summer long because I just didn't want to deal with it, and I knew I was going to have to modify it again somehow because it was not fitting the way that I wanted it to. I thought a long time about how I could fix it. Do I want to just try and pick up more stitches on the sleeves and see if that makes a fabric that I like? And the longer I thought about it, the more that I realized that I needed to unpick my bind off and put more stitches. If this opening was too small, then adding more stitches to it would make like a weird change. The transition would be like ruffled or puffy, or it just wouldn't be smooth in a way that I wanted to wear. So I, once I finally was ready, basically once I'd finished my Douglas cardigan, realized that I was going to be okay with getting to work on something annoying, because I was very annoyed. My sweater was not doing what I wanted it to. I ripped back and made this section longer, which gave me more shoulder coverage and more armhole length. And that solved my problem. Then I could pick up the sleeves, and then I had a new problem, which was that I was out of the kind of yarn that I had been using, and it wasn't really from Fade, but did I want to buy more? No, because I have insane amounts of yarn that is unnecessary. Let's find some other way to use what I have, and then we can talk about next things. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to purchase more for a sweater that I wasn't sure I was going to be in love with, or like, what do I do now? Do I want to have white sleeves? That seems like the place that's going to get the dirtiest. So what I ended up doing, I had, a number of options, but this whole section here, the lighter stripes are, and look how fun it turned out. The lighter stripes are the last of this Knitpicks Simply Wool, and the more same all across cream color is Fisherman's Wool, which you can find at all the big box stores. It's like one of the very few 100% wool yarns that gets sold at the big box stores. And I was using that and having a great time, and then I decided that I really wanted this little pop of color, and this, my friends, is my handspun. I am finally starting to use my own handspun. I had just this last little bit. I've been on a knit and making binge, and so I had this last little ball. It was like this big of handspun, and it's early. It's some of my earliest efforts, so it's real thick and thin. Like some parts of it are slubby, I guess would be a good word, and so it was very interesting to knit with, and it's given me this fun. I mean, like texture wise, look at it. It all works out really well. And then this last bit and this whole sleeve end are from yarn that I spun up at the beginning of the year. And so that was really fun to finish something off with. Not only is it a handmade sweater, but now it's handmade yarn. It's like those old Pimp My Ride memes. It's like, do you want some? You want your custom car to have a custom something else inside of it? I don't. Wow, I'm dating myself. I haven't thought about exhibit in a very long time. I don't know about you, but yeah. So it turned out so great, and it's comfy, and it's so warm because it is all of the wool all of the time. So great for this weather, and because I keep my house cold in the winter. So that is the thing that I am wearing, and probably the thing that I was the most excited about finishing in January. Second most exciting would be, finally I made myself some mittens, and I will put them on for you to show you. So this time I had purchased this, this is Aereo. It's sort of it's very fuzzy. It's an alpaca blend yarn. Oh, by Plymouth, I think. I will link in the description box below. I'm always forgetting to look up all the little details. I hope you enjoy my inanities. And then handspun all the way through here. This is, do you see this halo right here? No, yeah. That is handspun that was made, this is the last of it, with Dallas's Angora rabbit fur that he gifted me. And one of these days I'm going to get one of those bunnies. I'm so excited. I just have to have the bandwidth to take care of small animals. And if I'm going to get a small animal, it's probably going to be chickens first. And Angoras when I really have my stuff together. But anyway, I hilariously did different bind offs for the two tops of the mitten. So you see how this one is more narrow and this one is wider. I at that point did not care. I was not going back. I'm pretending that I'm experimenting with which way do I prefer, and really I like them both. They're both fine. Like, there are pros and cons to a much wider mitten because I don't and pros and cons to a narrower one. I don't know about you. Well, this is what I was going to say. The wider mitten, something about it makes me want to like expand my hand inside of it all the time to stretch to reach that, which I don't need to do. But it reminds me of the way that I've been moving my mouth since the pandemic started, to breathe through a mask when it's trying to like suction to my face. And since I work in healthcare and mask wearing can be a 12 to 14 hour ordeal, you know, it's really done some interesting things to my jaw. Yes, so those were the two finished objects I was the most excited about. What else did I do? In total, I wrote it all down. I had 7 mittens and 1 hat and this sweater, and that was all of my finished objects for January. But the other 5 mittens were all gifts. And if you're wondering why it was an odd number and not an even number, is because one of my friends only requires 1 mitten, and she sort of, I think, half joking was like, well, if you ever only finish 1, I would love. And I was like, game on. And so I had you know what, it was when I was pregnant with Chase. I needed new mittens. In 2018, I started these mittens, and I got as far as the cuff, and I was starting to do the increases for the thumb gusset, and something went wrong. I got too big, I think. I got carried away. I wasn't really paying attention, whatever. It got too big, and I stopped, and I ripped it back, and it just sat at about, like, from here to here for the last 4 years. And when Jamie said that, I decided that I would just make that into her mitten. And I used a little bit, like, even more of my little bit of handspun. I made some fun stripes, and I was using Madeline Tosh Vintage, which was super precious to me because of the colors. They were just so beautiful. But I felt like that was a really good use of the yarn, and they turned out really cute. I will insert pictures willy-nilly so that you can see all the mittens that I made, and a hat. I was calling it a hat for no reason, because I had originally purchased the yarn to swatch for a sweater, and I knit the first hat, and then I started on the second one, and then I spoke to the person who will be receiving the sweater, and he was like, don't do that. Like, I don't care. Just make it cool, and don't make me make a lot of decisions. And I was like, okay then. So I'm not going to make a second hat, because I'm going to use this yarn from the first hat because that's the one I like the best, and I'm the one who has to knit a whole sweater in a men's size. So I was making a hat for no particular reason, and when I finished it, it turned out awesome. I was really pleased with it. I turned it inside out, and it was even cooler on the inside, which was like an unexpected treat. I just made it up as I went along. I made a 100 stitch, knit 1, purl 1, rib, all the way up, and then I divided it into 4 corners and did 3 stitch decreases every other row, and it just cinched right in, and it's like long enough that it can be folded over at the brim. And I passed it along to my oldest, who hopefully is getting some wear out of it, and it looks really cool on the inside just because of the way that the ridges stacked when it was decreasing. So hopefully I got a decent picture and I can show you. That segues nicely into my first cast off, which is the Gib 2 sweater by, surprise, surprise, Andrea Mowry. So I have gotten this far, and I I was told the other day by a friend that this looks like I'm eating squid ink pasta. My, didn't catch it. My ball winder misfired. It's one of those things where like you can detach the whole bit that the yarn goes onto, and if you don't push it all the way back down, then the spin angle is at a different place, and it ends up, and it's happened to me a couple of times, not often. Like, I actually really like my ball winder. It's pretty and it's made out of wood. And I got it on Etsy, but it makes these it makes these yarn balls that look like flying saucers, and then they turn into a disaster. So I am very carefully, like, one little spiral at a time, disconnected, trying for as long as possible to make this not yarn barf. It looks like barf already, but so far, knock wood, we're doing okay. But let me show you what we got so far. So we have a lovely ribbed neckline and way too many stitch markers. I'm really excited about this. I will hopefully have fun things to show you later, but I so badly wanted some of those markers that kind of tell you what to do. So like you can set it up in your knitting and now you're making the pattern as you go along without having to report back to the written out pattern as often. I want to have stitch markers that are like, do this here, you know, increase or decrease, or this is the beginning of the round, things like that. But every time I look at those on places where you can purchase stuff, I feel like, as much as I appreciate that someone has made them, they are overpriced for where I'm at in my life right now. And the other day, is it on this? Yes. The other day I was messing around and I realized that I had a shrinky dink from some fun I was having with my nieces and nephews a while ago, and wouldn't that be perfect? So I just ordered some shrinky dink paper and we're gonna make our own. And it gives Chase a chance to play and me a chance to be creative, which I'm really starting to realize that, like, knitting was one avenue, but like there are so many avenues. I've been having such a great time at our early child and family education Saturday morning artful parenting classes lately, because I just am getting a great chance to do art, and it doesn't have to be, you know, a big important thing. And it's gotten me to be a little bit more present with the 4-year-old about like making art, because that, I don't know about you, but that was my favorite part of the younger parts of my education career was art class, and they always had such explicit instructions, and I'm just like, here, we're gonna do this today. We did a ripped paper collage. I found a glue stick and we did some collaging, and then turns out we were doing that in the artful parenting class also. So I had a little like leg up on thinking about how to make stuff happen, and it was really fun. And Chase had a great time just tearing paper and gluing it. He had never done anything like that really before. And he was being very creative about, like, he was making a haunted house, and could I help him to make this piece of paper look like a ghost, and, you know, stuff like that. We were really having a good time. But anyway, I want to make stitch markers out of shrinky dinks. I think that will be fun, and I can try different stuff and we'll see what happens. You know, I have a million of these kind of stitch markers, so as long as the hole is big enough, I could put anything in it. Really. The sweater's going along really well, so I'm really excited about that. Pattern, no surprise, is well written. I am, by the end of my knitting career, I think I am going to have gone through the entire written works of Andrea Mowry. I remember watching a YouTube personality years ago who everything that she ever wanted to make was Caitlin Hunter, and I was right there for it. You know, I love the aesthetic, but when I started making the sweaters, I would always have trouble like picking the colors, or something wasn't quite right. And for some reason, I don't have that blockage with Andrea Mowry's patterns. They're very accessible to me. Caitlin Hunter's stuff is so beautiful, but You know what it is? I made the Guthrie sweater and the colors I chose were strange. And so I don't reach for it constantly. And I have her Ghost Horses sweater on my needles right now, but I'm already a little bit afraid of it. I'm still in the yoke part. I really need to get it back out and like hit it, like get going. And I think once I kind of break through my little bit of hesitation, things will be very different. It's just such a beautiful sweater. I think what it is I'm afraid I'm going to run out because it's made with handspun and it's very precious to me, handspun. And I don't have enough of the colorway that I was using, and I didn't take good notes. So, and I think I got it from a festival. So like, I'll never find that again. So I just have to go for it, you know? And that's one thing that Andrea Maurer is always talking about with her shift and, well, with all of her patterns that are collaborations with Spin Cycle Yarns, is that you just have to like let go and let God and see what it does, because they're no two are alike. And so I have to enjoy that process, and I'm a little terrified. So what else was I working on? I had a little bit of a cast on party with myself. I got overexcited about a new friend that I made, and I want to surprise her with baby sweaters. She will be flabbergasted if this actually turns out, and I am here for it. I love to surprise people. So I had one of those goofy one-offs of acrylic yarn. I didn't even log it. It's a Lionbrand Mandala, and the colorway names are all goofy. So this one's called Serpent, but it's like tan and gray and yellow and white, and she's having twin boys. So I thought, how fun would it be? Here, this sweater pattern calls for starting with sleeves. So I made 4 sleeves, and now we're on to the body. And I have a feeling that one of the bodies will be gray and the other one is going to be like egg yolk yellow. It might be a little too much. I have one more of these. Oh, right here. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I cast on for socks. Speaking of yarn barf, I'm starting from the middle because I like this pink, and they are for me in a DK weight. I don't have any DK weight hand knit socks. I only have used sock weight yarn for my own socks. So I had a little cast on party, and I got this far, and then I stopped because something was shiny. There was a squirrel. I saw it. So I have these here, and I might, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is where I get lost in the decision making. So ignoring the purple and ignoring the Insanity yellow, these colors kind of continue this spectrum, and I think might go together well enough to make 2 baby sweaters. And then I can use the obnoxious yellow to go with my pink and purple for my other sock. Then I could knit them 2 at a time. Ooh. Yeah, this is how my brain works. So we're on that mission. There's this much of the first sweater's body for the babies. We'll see if that happens. Hi, Lola. Which, if you have never knit a sweater before, let me just reiterate that a baby sweater is an awesome way to try a sweater at all, because it's small and it's as small and fast as making a hat, and all of the construction pieces are there, and you know, past a certain age, there's almost always somebody around who might need a baby sweater. Like, you could just throw it at a stranger. It doesn't matter. Like, it's such a small investment of time compared to making like a full adult garment, but you get all of the little skills. So yeah, highly recommend. Keeping them in my handmade by my sister bag, which I have started to get more of my stickers that are stickers. These are adult stickers. They're called pins. I can take them off and put them on anything, and they won't tear. So that makes my little 1980s Lisa Frank collecting heart real happy. I fell down and bought one more project bag while I was getting the sweater quantity of yarn for the Gib 2, and it has a Paris theme, and I am a sucker for a Paris theme, and it is a sweater quantity bag with my sweater quantity of yarn inside of it. And so that sweater's a commission, so this is, I don't think I'm going to charge him for it, although I should. But when you are knitting a sweater for your daughter's boyfriend at his behest, and he has offered to pay you for the yarn, are you really going to charge him for your time? Because I personally don't think that that is going to happen. And I was so pleased to hear that he had finally tried the socks that I gifted him for graduation / his birthday last summer, that when he then turned around and said that the socks were fantastic, and he suddenly had a new appreciation for a knitted garment and could I make him a sweater, was so busy, glowing with happiness that I didn't really think through how much of a hassle it's going to be to knit a giant men's sweater. And also, does the boyfriend curse, does it extend to the significant other of your child? Because I don't want to be the reason things go wrong. These are the things I worry about. And second to last but not least, sorry, I love it when I have to lean out of frame. I canceled my Hello Yarn Fiber Club subscription, but apparently I was a month late, so oh shucks, I got one more surprise in the mail, and I'll show it to you. I don't think I've been showing these to you. We got Bright Spot, January 2023, a limited edition American wool blend top. I am real excited about, look at these colors. They are so moody purple. Oh, look at right there. That, I'm here for that. The thing that I have been doing in 2023 is trying to do a stash down. So I have so much yarn, and with the help of my friends on a new Discord server that I joined, I have finally logged all of the yarn. I mean, except for that mandala. Shh, don't tell. I've logged all the yarn that I had in my house, and it's 34,500 yards. 35,000 yards, because it's 500 in that ball of mandala. Oh my goodness. So I challenged myself to get rid of 10,000 yards of yarn, and of course the purchase of the Gib sweater was already accounted for in my head in terms of like things that were going to be in my stash, and I may have over purchased for it a little bit, because then I'll have more of that lovely gray. It's so pretty. It's Barocco vintage, and it's so springy, and I'm looking at it again. Well, I'll show it to you again. This, just look at one little, it's a lovely yarn. It's got a little bit of acrylic and wool, and I think there's a third thing. It is a lovely bouncy yarn, and it's superwash, which will appeal to the young man who will be wearing it, and I'm really enjoying working with it. So having a little extra of that in my stash did not feel like a hardship. Or, plus that color is going to go with just about anything, so it'll be easy to mix in with stuff, which is something I'm trying to like be a little bit more cognizant of. I'm working on a stash down. I want to use up 10,000 yards of my stash. And while we have been making friends and having a lovely time on the Discord, which was started by Tashiana of Tangles and Starlight, or Stitches and Starlight. I will link her YouTube below because I've been enjoying it so much. And we have been making friends and chit-chatting about how much stuff we have and how much we're trying to get rid of, and look at what I'm making, and like it's just really been kind of a fun. This is what people are talking about when they talk about making friends on the internet, I think. And I've never managed to do something like that with like Instagram, so it really feels like a win. I'm excited about it. But so this sweater counted in my stash on goals, and it got me through well, I weighed it and it was 500 grams of wool, which turns out to be like 1,000 or 1,200 yards. Of course, I've been using a fair amount of handspun, and I have no idea really how much, especially for the stuff where I had balled it up ahead of time. Like I haven't. While it's still in a skein, sometimes I'll count through it because I'm using an Indy Knotty that I know is a yard long to wrap them, so I can count the individual strands of yarn and then double it and know basically how many yards I have, which is obnoxious. But then I don't take good notes, or I think I'm going to remember, or I put a post-it note on it and the post-it note falls off, and then I go to ball up the yarn and I don't keep that information with them. So this is something that I need to work on in terms of my own tracking, because I would like to have that information, because now I'm making myself stuff and I don't know how much I have. Like, how much yardage do I have? What is the weight of this? Like, these are the things I still need to work on with my spinning. So I got off to a great start, mostly because this sweater padded my numbers, so thanks again to Andrea and the knitting leftovers from last year. Heisman. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So this year I am going to keep trying. And the other things that I've been really excited about because of this new group of friends and just talking, and we're kind of riling each other up, is that they are all getting into hand spinning with spindles. And I have a drop spindle, and I finally tried it like for the first time ever, and I made a tiny bit of yarn and I forgot to bring it in. Oh, it's right there. Hang on one second. Ooh. I made this much yarn with my drop spindle. I've been reading a book called Respect the Spindle, and the woman who wrote it, look, I made yarn on a drop spindle. I'm really excited about it. The woman who wrote the book was raised in part in Peru, where I guess drop spindling and hand spinning with spindles is like part of daily life that is introduced when you are a small child, and it's just a thing that you're doing all the time. So it's been kind of fun to read about. But everybody on the Discord chat is talking about support spindles, and I am really excited to get one, but I can't seem to finally commit and like purchase one. There are so many options. I have terrible decision fatigue just looking at them, and I never end up actually like pressing buy. Like, I have carts full of things, and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at that, and I keep going down these rabbit holes into interesting places. Just found a guy in Adelaide in Australia who is hand burnishing interesting kinds of wood, and he writes these like long beautiful descriptions about the wood and like where he finds it and whether or not it's an invasive species in the part of Australia where he lives, stuff like that. I mean, it's fun. I'm having a good time, but I'm not doing any of the actual spinning because I have not purchased even a single one of them. So I'm being really good about not acquiring more stuff that I may or may not use. But I have terrible FOMO. And I also have been talking more to friends in the like crochet section of the chat, and I want to try my hand at Tunisian crochet. That fabric is really cool looking, and I'm gonna start doing some crochet regular style because it goes through an insane amount of yarn, and we're going to do a knit along, a make along for like a knitted garment, or knitted or crocheted or spun or sewn or whatever, like one piece. It all started because we were talking about this crochet dress that has pockets and it's so pretty, and now I want one really bad. And oh, it just needs like 2,000 yards of yarn, so that'll be perfect. But do I know enough about crochet to make a good looking garment? Heck no. And do I have my own crochet hooks? No, I have like random ones that I use just for fixing stuff. And my daughter has crochet hooks, but I'm not going to steal her stuff. I'm going to get my own so that I don't have to be like, hey, can I borrow that? Because a set of crochet hooks is not a huge investment. But then how come I'm totally willing to get like $40 Tunisian crochet hook and 20 or 30 or $40 regular crochet hooks, and I can't buy a single support spindle for 40 bucks. That is all the content that I have for you today. I hope that your year is off to a great start. We've been having a lot of drama, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to say that. And I am hoping that you are having a better year and that your year continues to go well. And I will be checking back in with you, hopefully with lots more fun things. But anyway, if you're still with me, thanks so much for watching. Do all the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, if you are looking for me elsewhere on the internet, I am on Ravelry as Librophiliac. I'm on Instagram as Kattoo79, Kattoo79. It's my derby name and number. And I mean, those are the main places I am, let's be honest. It has been a pleasure, friends. I hope to see you again sometime soon with more fun content. See who else is lurking? That is my spinning wheel. She needs a name. You want to suggest a name for me for a spinning wheel? I don't really do that. I should. I name my cars. I've never named my spinning wheels. Probably because at least one of them should be named Antique Decoration, because it was never actually a functional wheel. And I'm still so hurt on the inside about my poor purchasing that I never got around to naming any of them. Okay, that's it. I love you. Bye. Nice to see you. Come on back again.